For centuries, the legend of El Dorado, the lost city of gold, has captivated treasure hunters and historians alike. They imagined a magnificent city, with streets paved in gold and buildings glittering under the South American sun. Many have risked everything, venturing into the dense, unforgiving Amazon rainforest, searching for this fabled metropolis. But the jungle guarded its secrets well, and El Dorado remained a myth, a whisper on the wind. But what if the legend wasn't about a city at all? What if El Dorado was something far more real and far more terrifying? Recent archaeological discoveries have peeled back the layers of this ancient story, revealing a truth that is not made of gold, but of something much darker. Our story begins not in a gleaming city, but deep beneath the waters of Lake Guatavita, high in the Andes Mountains of modern-day Colombia. For the Muisca people who thrived in this region long before the arrival of Europeans, this lake was a sacred site, the center of their cosmos. It was here that their most important ritual took place, a ceremony so spectacular that it would give birth to the legend of El Dorado. This wasn't a city of gold, but a man of gold, a gilded man. When a new Muisca king was to be crowned, he would undergo an extraordinary initiation. He would be stripped of his clothes, his body covered in a sticky layer of clay or resin. Then fine gold dust would be blown all over his body until he shone like a living statue of the sun god. He became El Dorado, the gilded man. He would then be taken to the center of Lake Guatavita on a ceremonial raft, accompanied by his high priests. As the sun rose, casting a golden glow over the landscape, the new king would offer precious treasures to the gods who dwelled in the lake's depths. These offerings were not just trinkets. They were intricate goldwork, emeralds, and other valuable artifacts, a fortune cast into the water. As a final act of devotion, the gilded man himself would plunge into the cold lake, washing the gold dust from his body, a symbolic offering of his own. When the Spanish conquistadors heard tales of this ritual, their imaginations ran wild. They twisted the story of the gilded man into the legend of a lost city of gold, a place of unimaginable wealth just waiting to be plundered. The Spanish obsession with finding El Dorado was relentless. They launched countless expeditions, enduring disease, starvation, and battles with indigenous tribes, all fueled by their insatiable greed. They even attempted to drain Lake Guatavita in the 16th century. A massive workforce of indigenous laborers was forced to cut a huge notch into the rim of the crater lake, a project of incredible scale for the time. The water level dropped by about 20 meters, revealing the muddy lake bed. The Spanish did find hundreds of gold artifacts, but it was just a fraction of what they believed was hidden there. The attempt ultimately failed when the cut in the crater wall collapsed, killing many laborers. For centuries, the lake held on to its secrets, the true nature of the Muisca offerings, still shrouded in mystery. But modern archaeology, with its advanced technology, has allowed us to see beneath the surface in ways the conquistadors could never have dreamed of. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, archaeologists using sonar and underwater robotics began to map the bottom of Lake Guatavita. What they found was not just a scattered collection of treasures, but a carefully organized, ritualistic landscape. The artifacts were not thrown in randomly, or placed in specific patterns, suggesting a complex cosmology and a deep connection between the Muisca, the lake, and the heavens above. The most significant find, however, was not the gold itself, but what the gold represented. Muisca goldwork, known as tunjos, are not just decorative items. They are flat, anthropomorphic figures, often depicting scenes from daily life, religious ceremonies, and warfare. Analysis of these tunjos revealed something chilling. Many of them depicted scenes of human sacrifice. Figures were shown with their hearts being removed or bound and prepared for a ritual death. This was the first hint that the El Dorado ceremony had a much darker side. This evidence pointed archaeologists towards a different kind of site, not a lake, but a series of interconnected settlements high in the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, a different region of Colombia, home to the Torona people, who were culturally related to the Muisca. Here, hidden beneath centuries of jungle growth, archaeologists uncovered a sprawling network of stone terraces, roads, and plazas. This was not one city, but a series of lost cities, the most famous of which is known as Ciudad Perdida, or the Lost City. Discovered by treasure looters in the 1970s, Ciudad Perdida is an archaeological marvel. It predates Machu Picchu by some 650 years and consists of over 169 terraces carved into the mountainside, linked by a network of tiled roads and small circular plazas. As archaeologists began to carefully excavate Ciudad Perdida and its surrounding sites, they found evidence that corroborated the darker interpretation of the El Dorado ritual. They found ceremonial sites that were clearly used for more than just celebration. Scientific analysis of the soil in these plazas revealed high concentrations of phosphates and other organic residues consistent with large amounts of blood. This was not the result of animal offerings. The chemical signature was distinctly human. This led to a horrifying conclusion. The offerings made to the gods were not just gold and emeralds, they were people. The El Dorado ceremony was not just about crowning a new king. It was a massive ritual of human sacrifice. Further excavations uncovered burial sites that confirmed this. But these were not honored graves. The skeletal remains showed signs of extreme violence. Skulls were crushed, and bones were arranged in bizarre ritualistic patterns. In one particularly disturbing find, archaeologists unearthed a ceremonial plaza where a large number of children's skeletons were discovered. Their remains showed that they were not from the local Torona population. Isotope analysis of their teeth, which records the chemical signature of the water they drank as children, indicated they came from various regions some hundreds of miles away. This suggests that these children were brought to the city as tribute from conquered tribes or vassal states. They were offerings, sacrificed to appease the gods and to display the power of the Torona rulers. The nightmare of what El Dorado truly was began to take shape. It wasn't a city of gold, but a ritual of power, cemented in blood. The Golden King plunging into the lake was the beautiful public face of a much grimmer reality. The real wealth of these societies wasn't gold, it was people. Power was maintained through fear and a complex system of tribute that ended in ritual death at these mountaintop citadels. The Tanjos, those little golden figures found in Lake Guatavita, were re-examined in this new, horrifying light. They weren't just art, they were records. They were depictions of the very sacrifices that took place in cities like Ciudad Perdida. One of the most famous artifacts, the Musca raft, a stunning gold model depicting the El Dorado ceremony, shows the gilded man surrounded by his attendants. But looking closer, with this new knowledge, one can see other figures on the raft. Are they priests, or are they victims? The entire legend had been misunderstood. The Spanish, in their lust for gold, saw only the surface glitter. They missed the terrifying truth that lay beneath. A highly organized, state-sponsored system of ritual violence on a scale that is difficult to comprehend. The real El Dorado was a system where human life was the ultimate currency. The gold, the emeralds, and the ceremonies were all just part of a terrifying machine of social and political control. The nightmare wasn't finding a city of ghosts, but realizing the city was a stage for systematic, ritualized killing. The number of victims is impossible to know for sure, but the evidence suggests it was substantial. The Torona and Musca civilizations lasted for over 1,000 years. The sheer scale of sites like Ciudad Perdida implies a large population and a highly organized society, one capable of carrying out these rituals for generations. The legend of El Dorado inspired greed and dreams of infinite wealth. The reality of it inspires a different kind of awe, chilling respect for the complexity of these ancient societies and a deep sense of horror at the price they paid for their power. The lost city of gold was never found because it never existed. What archaeologists found instead is the story of the gilded man, a story that leads not to a treasure chest, but to the dark heart of a civilization built on a foundation of human sacrifice. The truth of El Dorado is a stark reminder that history's most alluring legends often hide its most unsettling truths. The gleam of gold can blind us to the darkness that sometimes lies just beneath the surface. If you found this dive into the dark history of El Dorado fascinating, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories from the past, right here on Historical Repo.